Assalamu alaikum students. Today's our topic is about the protein digestion. As you know, the we contain our diet contains the many of the carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids in our diet. They are must to be these dietary sources of these proteins or lipids and carbohydrates are to be must be converted into the smaller molecules that can be easily digestible by the body. Dietary proteins are very large complex molecules that can't be absorbed from the intestine. So, to be absorbed, these dietary proteins must be digested to small, simple molecules like the amino acids, which are easily absorbed from the intestine. For this purpose, the many of the organs of the digestive system uses the different enzymes and different molecules for this digestion. Let's start the protein digestion. Protein digestion. The digestion is started in the stomach. Protein digestion begins in the stomach by the gastric juice. There is the no digestion of the proteins in the mouth, or there is no molecule or enzyme that is present in the saliva or in the mouth that can be digested these protein molecules. It is started from the stomach. In the stomach, the protein digestion begins by the gastric juice. What is the role of the gastric hydrochloric acid? It causes the denaturation of the proteins, which converts them into the metaproteins, which are easily digestible. Similarly, HCl is also used for the activation of the pepsinogen. As you know that the enzymes used for the digestion of the proteins are present in the deactivated form, and these are to be must be activated by the action of the different molecules into the active form by which they can be convert these protein molecules into the digestible form. HCl, gastric HCl also activates pepsinogen to pepsin. By the action of gastric HCl, this pepsinogen is converted into pepsin. It makes the pH in the stomach suitable for the action of the pepsin on the protein molecules. So, what is the next is the role of the pepsin in the stomach. What it causes? It is actually an endopeptidase acting on the central peptide bonds in which amino groups belongs to the aromatic amino acids, for example phenylalanine, tyrosine and tryptophan. Pepsin, the role of the pepsin. It is an endopeptidase and it acts on the central peptide bonds in which the amino groups belongs to the aromatic amino acids. The aromatic amino acids which are the phenylalanine, tryptophan and tyrosine. Tryptophan and tyrosine. It is secreted in an inactive form called the pepsinogen, and by the action of the HCl it is converted into pepsin. Its optimum pH is 1.5. The action of this pepsin is on the optimum pH of 1.5 to 2.2. 2.2. It is activated by HCl, then by autoactivation. First, it is converted into pepsinogen is converted into pepsin by the action of the HCl. Then after that, this pepsin is activated by the action of the pepsin. Next is the renin. Next enzyme is renin. The third one is the enzyme is renin. This renin, it is a milk clotting enzyme. Milk clotting enzyme. It present in the stomach for infants and the young animals. Its optimum pH is 4. It acts on the casein and converting it into the soluble paracasein, which is turned binds calcium ions, forming insoluble calcium paracasinate. Calcium paracasinate is then digested by the pepsin. In the infants, young animals, this is the milk clotting enzyme. This is actually the milk clotting enzyme. It acts, optimum pH is, its optimum pH is 4. Casein, the milk protein, is converted into paracasein by the action of renin, that then converted by the combination of calcium ions, and this one is converted into paracasinate, calcium paracasinate, and this calcium paracasinate is then digested by the action of pepsin. This is then digested by the action of the pepsin. This is digestible by the action of the pepsin, this calcium paracasinate. Last one enzyme used for this is the last enzyme in the stomach for the digestion of the protein is the gelatinase. Gelatinase. This gelatinase, it is the enzyme that liquefies gelatin, gelatinase. The end products of protein digestion in the stomach are the proteosis, peptosis, and the large polypeptides. This is used for the liquefaction of gelatin protein. Then this digestion is going in the small intestine. The digestion of proteins is completed in the small intestine by the proteolytic enzymes present in the pancreatic and the intestinal juice. First of all, in the small intestine, In the small intestine, there is a two secretions. One is the pancreatic juice, the pancreatic secretion, that is the pancreatic juice, and the second one is the intestinal juice. The pancreatic juice first one is the pancreatic juice. This pancreatic juice contains many of the proteolytic enzymes. First enzyme that is present in this pancreatic juice is the trypsin. The most important enzyme of protein digestion in the small intestine is the trypsin. It is an endopeptidase that hydrolyzes the central peptide bonds in which the carboxyl group belongs to the basic amino acids. This is actually the endopeptidase which hydrolyze the central peptide bonds in which the carboxyl group belongs to the basic amino acids. This is the endopeptidase that hydrolyzes central peptide bonds in which the carboxyl group belongs to basic amino acids like the basic amino acids like arginine, lysine, and histidine. Arginine, lysine, and histidine. It is also secreted in the inactive form that is called a trypsinogen, and its optimum pH is 8. It is activated by the enterokinase enzyme trypsinogen is converted into trypsin by the action of the that is enterokinase enzyme. This is converted into the active form trypsin, and this trypsin is then converted this auto activated this trypsinogen into trypsin. It has the optimum pH of 8. The second enzyme in the pancreatic juice is the chymotrypsin. The second one is the in the pancreatic juice is chymotrypsin. This chymotrypsin is also the endopeptidase that hydrolyzes central peptide bonds in which the carboxyl group belongs to aromatic amino acids. That is the phenylalanine, tryptophan, and tyrosine. The optimum pH for this chymotrypsin is also 8. It is activated by the trypsin. This is also present in optimum pH is 8. It is also endopeptidase, and the inactive form is chymotrypsinogen, that is converted into chymotrypsin by the action of trypsin on it. The next enzyme is elastase. The third enzyme is elastase, that is present in the pancreatic juice, and this elastase is also an endopeptidase. It acting upon the peptide bonds formed by the glycine, alanine and serine. Endopeptidase, glycine, alanine and serine. The peptide bonds that is present at the position of glycine, alanine and serine. It is secreted in inactive form called proelastase. Proelastase, and it is activated by the enzyme trypsin also. This is also activated by the action of the trypsin, and it uses for the digestion of the elastin and collagen proteins. It's also activated by the trypsin. pH is 8 and uses for the digestion of elastin and collagen proteins. The next enzyme present in the pancreatic juice is the carboxypeptidase. The carboxypeptidase. Carboxypeptidase. The next enzyme is carboxypeptidase. It is an exopeptidase. It is an exopeptidase. So it acts on the terminal peptide bond at the amino terminus of the polypeptide chain. It releases a single It is an exopeptidase that hydrolyzes the terminal peptide bond at the carboxyl terminal of the polypeptide chain. It is also present in the deactivated form, that is the procarboxypeptidase, and is activated by the trypsin. Procarboxypeptidase and converted into carboxypeptidase by the action of trypsin, and it acts upon the carboxyl terminal of polypeptide chain, and its optimum pH is 7.2. Its optimum pH is 7.4. Next, these all are the pancreatic juice. These are all the enzymes that is present in the pancreatic juice. Now we are going towards the of the intestinal is intestinal juice. This intestinal juice contains also the different enzymes. First one is the aminopeptidase. Aminopeptidase. This aminopeptidase is also the exopeptidase that acts on the terminal peptide bond at the amino terminus of the polypeptide chain. It releases a single amino acid on the amino terminal. Exopeptidase. Single amino acid. Tripeptidase. Next one is the tripeptidase. Second enzyme is the tripeptidase. This tripeptidase acts on the tripeptides. It releases a single amino acids and the dipeptide. It converts the tripeptides into dipeptide plus a single amino acid. The third one is the dipeptidase. The dipeptidase. This dipeptidase, it acts on the dipeptides. It acts on the dipeptides and it releases the two amino acids, and this dipeptide is converted into two single amino acids by the action of this dipeptidase. The end products of protein digestion in the small intestine are the amino acids. Now we are going towards the protein absorption. What are the absorption mechanisms of the protein absorption? Now we are going towards the protein absorption. It is an active process that needs energy. Energy needed is derived from the hydrolysis of the ATP. It occurs in the small intestine. Absorption of amino acid is rapid in the duodenum and the jejunum, but slow in the ileum. The mechanism of the what is the mechanism? Actually, the mechanism of the absorption of proteins. There are two mechanisms of amino acid absorption. First one is the carrier protein transport system. The first one is the carrier protein absorption system. This one is the first mechanism, carrier protein transport system. Carrier protein transport system. And the second one is the glutathione transport system. The second one is the glutathione transport system. These two are the mechanisms involved for the absorption of the amino acids. Carrier protein transport system. In the carrier protein transport system, it is the main system of the amino acid absorption. It is an active process that needs energy. The energy needed is derived from the ATP. Absorption of one amino acid molecule needs one ATP molecule. There are 7 carrier proteins, one for each group of amino acids. Each carrier protein has two sites, one for amino acids and one for the sodium ion. Each carrier protein, the co-transports amino acids. It co-transports amino acids and sodium from intestinal lumen to cytosol of intestinal mucosa cells. The absorbed amino acid passes through the portal circulation while sodium is extruded out of the cell in exchange with the potassium ions by the sodium-potassium pump. Carrier protein transport system. There is the cell membrane. Here is the transporter that transports amino acids as the co-transporters by the action of the co-transporters by sodium intestinal portal circulation. Portal circulation. This sodium is sodium potassium ATPase that uses ATP This is actually the mechanism of the carrier protein transport system in which the one amino acid is transferred by the use of the one ATP. This amino acid from the intestine, it is by the co-transporter with the help of sodium is go into the cell membrane, from where this is goes towards the portal circulation by the expenditure of sodium potassium ATPase pump and by the usage of ATP molecule, and this amino acid is goes absorbed within the portal circulation. The second mechanism is the glutathione transport system. Our second mechanism is the glutathione transport system. In this system, glutathione is used to transport amino acids from intestinal lumen to the cytosol of the intestinal mucosa cells. It is the active process that needs energy. The energy is used in the form of the ATP. Absorption of one amino acid molecule requires 3 ATP molecules. In this case, glutathione reacts with amino acid in the presence of glutamyl transpeptidase to form glutamyl amino acid. This glutamyl amino acid releases amino acid in the cytosol of the intestinal mucosa cells with formation of 5-oxoproline that is used for the regeneration of the glutathione to begin the another cycle. intestinal lumen. This is the cell membrane. This is the cytosol. Glutathione. Gamma glutamide transpeptidase transfer this amino acid cysteine converted into gamma glutamine amino acid. This gamma glutamyl amino acid releases this amino acid and converted into 5-oxoproline. This 5-oxoproline is then converted into glutamic acid by conversion of ATP into ADP plus PI. This glutamic acid then by the addition of cysteine ATP is converted into ADP plus TI and is converted into gamma glutamide cysteine. This gamma glutamide cysteine is converted into glutathione by the release of glycine, by the addition of glycine and by the expenditure of 1 ATP into ADP plus PI. This is also the overall mechanism of this glutathione transport system, in which this glutathione is used for the transfer of amino acid by the enzyme gamma glutamyl transpeptidase. These base 2 are converted into gamma glutamyl amino acid and cysteine molecule is removed from here. This cysteine molecule is then converted into glycine and cysteine. This gamma glutamyl amino acid by the removal of amino acid from here is converted into 5-oxoproline. This 5-oxoproline uses 3 steps and 3 ATPs for the regeneration of glutathione, which uses for the next amino acid to be transferred into the cytosol. Then this 5-oxoproline is converted into glutamic acid. This is converted into gamma glutamyl cysteine by the addition of cysteine. Then this is by the addition of glycine is converted into glutathione. This is all about the digestion and absorption of the protein molecules. If you have any questions regarding this lecture, you may please approach me on my WhatsApp group, either on my email address or by putting your comments in the comment section of the YouTube channel. Thank you so very much, students. I hope you have understand this topic about the protein, digestion and absorption. I am waiting for your positive response towards this lecture. Thank you so very much. Allah Hafiz.